From the On Target Digital Marketing Podcasting Studios in sunny Orlando, Florida, it's the T Squared Tech Talk Podcast with Tom Jelnick and Tom Craig. It's a frickin' Friday afternoon, Tom, and you know what that means.
It means it's time for another exciting episode of the T Squared Tech Talk Podcast.
And listen, my friend, I have been listening to the T Squared Tech Talk Podcast. The last couple episodes have been phenomenal, and I want to give mad props to Mason sitting in the room with us, who is engineering some amazing audio.
You know, you've got to give credit where credit's due.
Damn
and
right.
Credit's definitely due over there to Mason.
Mason's rocking it, man.
I tell you, that's I'm pretty impressed by some of the unique ideas that he's had. So kudos to you, my friend.
You know, so this morning, Mason's in the room, and I'm asking him, I was like, Mason, which one of your podcasts is the absolute favorite and on target to work on? Because we work on, 10 or 11 different shows. And Mason proudly said the T Squared Tech Talk Podcast.
Good answer. Good answer.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
And brownie points for Mason, too. I took him out to lunch yesterday. I think he kind of buttered me up a little bit. Yeah.
Nice. Smart guy. Smart guy.
He's you got to get up pretty early in the morning to fool Mason there.
Yeah,
So,
well, you know who you don't have to get up early in the morning to fool?
who's that, Tom?
The IT company that I'm in the process of replacing at one of my clients.
Do you like replacing IT companies, Tom?
Sometimes it's an awkward transition if we know the company that we're replacing.
Yes.
But usually it's a very refreshing feeling for both us and the client because there's plenty of room for improvement, if you will.
I see what you're saying.
And this time I learned something today. You know, just when you think you've heard it all, somebody comes along and just blows all that out of the water.
Yep.
That happened to me today.
What happened?
So as I'm taking on this new client, I'm learning more and more about their operations. And what I've asked to do is sit down with each of the department heads and learn about what's important to them. What software do they use? Where is their data stored?
What
that
yanks
kind of stuff.
their crank?
That's pretty much it. You know, really got to get down to the heart of it. So he said, the one problem that I'm having is this workstation over here it's the only one with, type X software loaded onto it.
Probably a PC.
Yep. It's this very specialized one.
Very special.
And they need it to be cloned. So they said,
We're upset because we've asked the last service provider to take this down to the GEEK Squad to have it cloned, and they haven't done it for us.
yeah.
GEEK Squad.
I just froze in my tracks. I said, wait, what was that? And I said, yeah, they were supposed to take this down to the GEEK Squad and have it replicated. I said, wait, your IT service company takes your equipment down to the GEEK Squad to be fixed? And
Blasphemy, Tom.
Well, yeah, is that a problem? Absolutely, that's a problem.
Holy crap.
Couldn't
for real?
believe it. That's like flying to Chicago. Okay,
Sure.
I'm going to paint this picture.
I'll
with me
stick
here.
with you. Yeah.
We're going to Chicago for some Giordano's pizza.
Okay.
The best pizza in all of Chicago. Except Giordano's today, they're not making their pizza. They're going next door to Papa John's to pick it up for you. But even better, Papa John's is going to charge us $175 for that large plain cheese
for that
pizza.
$9 pizza.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Giordano's is going to tack on 20%. So we're going to pay, just short of $200.
Yeah, and you get that crappy cheese. You know that fake cheese that's on the Papa John's?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of what it's like going to an IT service provider and then outsourcing that to the GEEK Squad. I said, well, why don't you just save yourself some money and hire Uber?
Yeah.
It's
for real.
the same thing. You're
Yeah.
just taking it to the GEEK Squad. So anyway, pardon my rant, but I had to get that out.
Unbelievable, Tom.
It is. It's amazing what people will put up with. Now, you see, the client told me that they're paying somebody to take their hardware to the GEEK Squad, and they didn't raise any red flags.
I would have kept that really to myself, to be 100% transparent. Like, I would never squeal that to any other human being on the planet.
No
But,
lie.
yeah.
I was shocked. So that was my joke of the day to myself that I don't think I'm going to stop laughing all weekend.
Well, Tom, speaking of laughing all weekend and having minor heart attacks,
Yeah?
you'll never guess what I got into this weekend, my friend.
What was that?
I got into a Microsoft
Yes,
environment,
I recall.
Tom.
I recall.
Let me
Yes.
paint the picture.
All right.
I have an amazing client
Mm-hmm.
that I'm doing a little bit of volunteer work.
Okay.
And that's strike one. Volunteering to move them into the cloud, right, Tom? Bring them into the 21st century.
Yep. Yep.
And guess what kind of platform they're on?
Microsoft.
That's right. Remember you did that a lot last week?
I did.
I love it.
did.
It's been ringing in my head. That's right. So here's the scenario. I'm
Okay.
at home on the weekend trying to get this done so I don't have to, tap into my work schedule the next week.
Yeah.
I'm on my iMac. Beautiful machine, Tom. 21 and a half inches of just pure awesomeness, right? Horsepower. It's polished.
Which was doing you no good as you.
I didn't say that yet.
Okay. Okay.
I did not say that. Wonderful machine. So I can remote log into this particular organization's computer, which is unfortunately, Tom, running Windows Server 2000, whatever the hell, their creative names.
Yep.
I couldn't log in via a browser because Microsoft. So I had to download this crazy ass client to my iMac, which I feel like I was polluting, right? So I felt dirty already. I download it. I make the connection. Tom, I should have took a screenshot. You would have shared it all over the country, which is why I did not take a screenshot. Within my beautiful 21 and a half inch iMac at home, wrapped in all of its glory and splendor, the full screen, and it is full screen, is a Microsoft window.
It's
With the
just
start
beautiful.
button and all the bullshit that goes along with Windows and the
Like
cute little...
life has come full circle for me.
Tom,
It's
it was
just
a
beauty.
nightmare. I cannot. It is burned and etched into my mind, and it's
That
all
you
I
paid
see.
all that money to show that inexpensive operating system on your screen. It must have just raised the hair on the back of your neck.
It did. It terrified me. And now, when I close my eyes, Tom, that's all I see. I see a Microsoft window embedded into my iMac.
I'm going to sleep good tonight.
I bet you will.
Yeah,
I knew you loved this story.
Absolutely. And because, and I understand that you had to put some adapters on your toy to make it work with
adapter,
Microsoft.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a pile
because
of crap.
toys are, they need help. But no. So you're working on the machine. You're getting you're getting things done. And did it work out well for you?
I wasn't getting things done as efficiently as I would have liked, Tom. And
No.
let me tell you what happened. So this goofy ass client that I had to install on my beautiful iMac, 21 and a half inch screen, decides it's going to map the hard drive of my particular personal iMac
Okay.
onto this organization's computer.
All right.
All by itself. Here it
Sure.
is. Ooh, let's just map the freaking drive. So now I'm looking at their PC on my iMac, and it's got 3 drives, 2 shared, and mine. It's got all
Nice.
my documents.
Yep.
It's got all my pictures.
Sure.
There's kids with soccer ball
There's
pictures.
the in-laws on there.
They're in
Christmas.
there, Tom, and they're
Yep.
they're drinking their eggnog,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're gay and happy, and they got these sweaters. There's a couple pictures of the dog, and now the entire freaking organization can see all of my stuff. So what did I do? I called my good friend at Advanced Systems Solutions, kind of freaking out, but also very vulnerable, Tom, because I knew you would celebrate the moment.
It was bittersweet for me,
Oh,
Tom.
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It was nice to get the call and know that if the call is going to be made, that I'll be on the other end. It's like phone a friend on
It
Who
was.
Wants to Be a Millionaire.
It was.
I feel blessed that I'm one of the 3 people chosen.
But I was very aware of the implications of the story, and I was very aware that it would come to haunt me at some point. In all seriousness, Tom says to me, Tom, you can right click and explore in the Manila folder.
That's
I remember
right.
it.
Yep.
That's right. And disconnect the map drive.
Yep.
Well, I'm pulling my hair out. I did everything Tom Craig said. That option does not exist.
Because there was another Tom Craig who had been there before this Tom Craig.
That's right.
Yep.
Who locked me out from doing anything productive on that Microsoft terminal.
Yep.
And that's kind of synonymous, right? Non-productive Microsoft.
Through an apple, absolutely. Yep. See the deciding, the differentiating factor there, ladies and
I have
gentlemen.
coffee
was
in my
the
mouth on that one.
Through an apple. So
let's recap that, Tom.
Okay,
So
all right.
let's go back to the scene of the crime. 21 and a half inch iMac is running its own beautiful processors. It just happens to be using a browser or a crappy client, whatever connector you called it.
Crappy client.
Crappy connector to connect to this Windows machine. Now, the Windows machine is still doing absolutely garbage crap. My Mac is controlling that world. But I was confined within the Windows, Tom.
Yeah, well, that's the power that Microsoft gives us. It's kind of like it's a
power-
godlike feeling, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. You feel that I've really got the power to make or break somebody's day.
And it did, Tom. It did break my
yeah.
day. And I'm embarrassed. I feel dirty. The fact that there was ever a Windows logo on my iMac. And my friend, it probably won't happen twice. But I think you'll even enjoy, Tom, in a bittersweet way, the rest of the story is that I have to actually go sit down at a PC.
Beautiful thing, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
have to turn it on and hear that crappy Windows chime. I have to click the stupid ass start button on the left corner of the screen, and I have to import all of the email from my least favorite client, which is Outlook, into Google Enterprise because Google will not let me do it on my
I
Mac.
was going to say, why is that? Because Google doesn't allow kids' toys in their adult world.
That's not what was said.
That's how I interpreted it. Ladies and gentlemen, we
sure
need you to
you
write to the T Squared Tech Talk podcast. Get to the mail sack and let us know what you think.
Yeah, I got your mail set. Tom.
Yeah. So, well, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. But again, if you need any Windows computers, Advanced System Solutions is more than happy to deliver, set up, configure, and test whatever you need free of charge, just because we want to say we were the ones who put the first PC into On Target.
That is a really nice gesture, my friend, and a very kind. And you'll be the first one I call to throw them in the dumpster.
Exactly.
So,
I was going to say, it's a good thing the windows don't open up here on
kidding.
the 57th floor, or
Yeah.
they'd be probably tossed on out.
they would be tossed on out. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I understand your frustration. I do. And that's why I've been trying to get you to come over to the Rebel Alliance and join us in our Microsoft world and step away from the dark side of Apple.
I see that actually is completely opposite, as you knew I would.
Darth
But
Cook.
I wanted you as a friend to be able to revel in this wonderful story that you could beam a little bit, because I realize they do beat you up a little bit with with the superior Mac products.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and it's too bad that Cupertino is built to look like the Death Star, but it's awful fitting, And
Is it?
It is, because I'm telling you, the dark side. I'm fully convinced. Darth Cook and Darth Maul, out there.
Darth Gates.
No, see, that's like Luke Skywalker right there. Yeah, it's just a breath of fresh air.
There's a breath of something.
Yeah. So, well, I'm again sorry you had to deal with that.
Are you?
You know how it goes. I am. Because we like to make it easy, right? That's what we always like to do, you and I, especially for our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make it easy.
That's what the T Squared Tech Talk podcast is all about, Tom.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I thought we should bring up to tell our listeners is the debacle, if you will, of routers and firewalls that have been breached over the last 4 months now. This really started with some Cisco vulnerabilities that were known in the RV320 devices. If you really want to
Like
get
a
technical.
recreational vehicle, Tom?
Like that, but much smaller and not near as much fun. Yeah, but
You bring the in-laws in those, you know that? Take them cross-country. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that would be. If I could, that's a whole other podcast right there. That's legal ramifications right there.
Yeah.
What were you doing getting the in-laws down into that little box?
Yeah.
That's where we keep the NyQuil, Tom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good place to hide it. But
All right, so your Cisco RV 94,000 million.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it started with the Cisco firewalls and routers, and there was a vulnerability that would allow people to take control of them from the internet and redirect your traffic through their servers. Therefore, they can see all your keystrokes that are coming through, any banking information, any credit card information. That was a genuine concern because there's a whole lot of these devices on the internet. So now we're finding out that SANS released today that for the last couple months, there have been many more vulnerabilities that have been announced and aren't able to be resolved because these devices are past their end of life.
Okay.
So
hey, we talked about end of life last time,
we
Tom.
did in the Microsoft world.
That was a very powerful. Could you say that again? Microsoft end of life?
Yep. Now today it's D-Link end of life.
Oh,
is
yeah,
the big
D-Link.
one.
I'm aware of those.
Yep. There's a lot of those devices on the internet as well.
A lot of residential.
Exactly. But the issue is that after a certain amount of time, these devices reach their end of life. And what that means is there are no more security vulnerability patches that are going to be released for these devices. So what ends up happening is, if D-Link puts out 2 or 3 different kinds of firewalls every year, 5 years down the road, they're not going to have the personnel, if you will, to build out security patches for all those devices. So they only do the more recent ones. So that's why it's really important. If your home firewall has been there for a few years, you haven't done anything to upgrade it or change the firmware on it, you might want to think about replacing those devices.
I guarantee you, Tom, this applies to 99% of the people listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Because, listen, if you're like me, you take the in-laws, right? They get the back room in the way-ass back of the house, right? Where all the emissions are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of stick them into that back corner. And guess what? Oh, that might be the utility closet, too. Like if you stick them in the closet.
Oh, yeah.
Like Tom Cruise. But you put them back there, and that's where all of your whoozy whatsits, your modem.
Oh, yeah.
Your all the flashy lights.
The forgotten room.
That's right. That sounded good. We're
It
getting
does. It does.
I like it.
You're starting to get there.
Yeah, that's right. So these devices sit in the back and collect dust, Tom, and in-law dust.
Oh.
And you know that
Yep.
kind of dust.
I certainly do.
Yeah.
It's not just dusty.
No.
So we'll just leave
like
it at
old,
that.
It's old dust.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And there's like chunks sometimes.
Yep. But unless it breaks, people usually set it and forget it.
Right.
And that's the beauty of these devices. But unfortunately, more recent devices are allowing us to automatically update that firmware, which is great. But the legacy devices, not only did you manually have to do it, but you had to download the firmware to your Mac or PC.
What a pain in the ass that
Yep.
is. Download that file.
And then attach to the device and
Yeah.
then upload the file.
and it goes offline.
Oh, yeah.
and
And
you're
then
crossing
you
your
wonder, did you
fingers.
do it right?
Right.
And you've got to sit there for a few minutes. Yes. But now, thankfully, there's a box we can check to automatically update firmware. So,
But here's the other point about these things. And you're right. When they get to end of life, meaning these devices aren't supported anymore, they're not going to get the free downloads to keep
Nope.
the damn thing security free. And these Kersplakistan types
Yep.
are preying on that, right?
yeah. And what happens is, well, we'll even go one step further. There's security reports that are released stating these vulnerabilities, and the guys in Kersplakistan or in mom's basement
In Milwaukee. Yeah.
or Detroit, wherever they may be.
Yeah, they got those wife beaters on, Tom, and they're sitting. Can you see them? They're on the lazy boy that's all
it's-
torn up by the cats.
Yep, exactly. And the smell of pizza
Yeah.
and old soda on
And
the floor
Pabst
and beer.
Blue Ribbon,
yeah,
Tom.
yeah. That's the nastiness.
Yeah.
But no, they get a hold of these security vulnerabilities and they reverse engineer them to find out how they can use them to work in their favor. So, and that's what they're doing. They're accessing these devices. They're redirecting your internet traffic to where you'd have no idea, you'd be none the wiser that this happened. And now they can see everything that's coming and going from your computer. So
You can
pretty
even-
scary.
They're watching the in-laws look for coupons, Tom.
Yeah,
You know how they do that? They go coupon clipping on the AOL.
I do. And fortunately, those people in Kersplakistan are wise enough to have their program set up to peel all that off, and they just ignore that. But,
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. The hackers, they don't sit there and work specifically on your device.
Right.
They put a bot, if you will, out there that runs and scans tens of thousands of devices. And then they get a report back telling them which of these devices is on the internet, which ones have not been updated with the latest firmware, and even better, which of these devices has not had the default password changed.
Freaking Kersplakistan, Tom.
I tell you, so they can look right at the top of the report and see, okay, this one wasn't updated and has never had the password changed. They can log in immediately and just run amok.
I can see them, Tom. They're in this what they call a coffee shop in Kersplakistan, out in the middle of nowhere, right? I see a stable. I see a couple goats,
Yep.
some straw, and they've got probably a lot of PCs, and they're just sitting here jonesing to steal stuff out of the Craig residence. But it's not going to happen in your house.
That's right.
That's right.
Yep, that's because I'm one of those anal retentive people who makes my wife get offline so I can run those firmware updates on the firewall.
Nice. Penny, get the hell off.
That's right, exactly. Hey, there's a security vulnerability. Breach.
Shut it down.
Breach.
That's right.
Yep. So yeah. So unless you're like me and you love updating your firmware on your device,
Who doesn't, Tom?
that's a lot of people apparently. So
But honestly, I don't think people think about that. And I think that's the real challenge. What we're trying to communicate today is, listen, these devices that are collecting the in-laws, dust bunnies and that funny smell they give off. You know what I mean? Like anything back in that utility closet just smells.
oh yeah, which is why we just want to throw it away.
We do. So,
Yep.
but I think to your point, a lot of us just don't realize that, oh my goodness, we think it's safe because it's plugged into the internet, right?
Yeah,
And maybe
yeah.
like you think your provider's protecting you, like if you have, a cable company like Lectrum or,
Exactly.
I changed the name to protect the innocent.
like that.
Tom.
I like that.
That's right. So, but I think as consumers, a couple points. One, replace the damn things after 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely.
Would you concur?
They're only $50 to $70, and for your peace of mind, I think it's worth every penny.
And think about it. This is a device that literally runs 24/7 nonstop. So even if you're not on your crappy ass PC, Tom, accessing the interwebs,
Yep.
maybe your smart TV is connected, or maybe even your printer could be connected.
And
So
it is the single point of security for all of these systems.
that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So yes, you're absolutely correct. You'd want to replace this every couple of years at least. And again, for that cost, how can you not? To make sure that all your devices are safe.
And they get beat up. They
do.
really do. Like I've
yeah.
had a couple here on Target that, end of life is about, we beat the crap out of them. I mean, you think there's probably like 80 machines and computers and smartphones and whatever, it's attached to these things. And they really do take a pounding. So it is honestly best practice to just plan on replacing that every 2 years anyway.
Yep. And in addition, not only are you getting new firmware updates, but the technology that comes along with these firewalls, the way that they read the information that's coming through, the later devices are able to protect us much, much more efficiently than the legacy devices.
Right.
Yep.
Because security is being cooked into them a bit more.
Absolutely.
But I don't want anyone to get a false sense of security here, Tom. So even if you plug in the old Cisco 94 gajillion, model,
That's
right, and it's rocking and rolling, you still want to set that sucker to do automatic updates because just because you put a new product out doesn't make it safe, Tom.
Yep, you are correct. And as we've said before, make sure that you change the password. First thing you do, change the password, run those firmware updates, make sure that they're set to automatically update, and you should be in a much better space.
Let's talk about passwords, Tom.
Okay.
So a safe password does not equal 1234.
No, it
or
doesn't.
the name of your wife, or the name of the street you live on, Tom.
That's
Especially when it comes to something as powerful as a router, because if you have a really easy to hack password on there, that is completely vulnerable as well.
yes. And stay away from the family pet names.
Yeah.
That's another big one.
Name them after the in-laws.
Yeah, nobody's going to figure that one out.
Right.
Because who would do that?
That's right.
Yep. So you mentioned that. I
Gertrude
think about these,
1234, right?
I think
Tom?
about these Facebook games that I'm seeing lately. The first 4 letters of your street that you grew up on.
There's nothing evil about
And
that.
yeah, the last 4 letters of your mother's maiden name mixed in with the last 4 of your social and your first phone number equal your gnome name.
I want to talk about this. That's brilliant. And so Facebook, it's so much fun. It's spending time.
It kills me.
But these quizzes are a devil in sheep's clothing, Tom.
I know, and I can't believe it. Some of them get almost that crazy.
Yeah.
You
And
want to know
people,
how old
like,
you're going to be. What's the last
People
4 of your
don't-
social?
But they don't think twice about this stuff. And we're here to tell you, you have to start thinking twice about taking these quizzes. Like, why is it asking you what your mother's maiden name was?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They don't need to know that.
And have you noticed how many geniuses there are on Facebook now, apparently?
Oh, there's a lot of geniuses.
Oh,
Tom.
yeah. If you take the genius quiz,
Sure.
you know,
You're a
1
genius.
plus 5 equals 6.
You're
2
a rock
plus 7
star.
equals 9. What's 3 plus, 4?
Click here to find the answer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm a genius. I figured it out.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I digress.
Our objective is to get you to not get your crap stolen. That's really what it comes down to, Tom.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're absolutely right about that.
So, are there any routers that you recommend, or that are? I mean, think about this too. It's going to be really easy for consumers to set up. The word router and firewall alone sounds daunting.
Yep.
To the average consumer. So, and I don't mean that in any kind of disrespect. It's just like, when you got to go access it and type in an IP address, and some of them you've actually got to plug a network cable into your machine.
Oh yeah.
It could be a little daunting. So, which ones have you seen?
Well, as much as for the home user who has minimal expertise in getting in and setting up the device,
Like the mother-in-law.
I'd have to say that the Cisco devices are very inexpensive and very easy to set up. Their user interface is pretty nice. Now, if I was recommending a firewall for an organization, then we're looking at increased traffic that will be passing through that device, increased functionality. So I would then lean more towards a FortiGate device.
A fornicate?
Close, but FortiGate.
That's an interesting sounding product, Tom.
Yep. Brought to you by Fortinet.
Ah,
So the Fortinet FortiGate line of devices are similar to Cisco, except in price.
I think they should have rethought that name, Tom.
Yeah?
It's, yeah. It's
Well,
the
hey.
Fornicate 4000.
Well, and then when you start getting into the Fortiphones, now you're really getting into some tongue twisters.
Yeah.
You got your Fortiphone going through my FortiGate over to the Fortinet platform.
Get your fingers
for
out of my
Fortiphone
yeah.
hosted service.
Whoa.
And then you start wondering, okay, which Forti did I lose on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the FortiGate products though are equal in
I'm 12.
functionality.
I swear to God, I'm 12 years old. Just say it again. The what?
FortiGates.
Okay.
The FortiGate products are going
You
to.
said it. Yes.
I did that just for you.
Accomplished.
So those products are equal to Cisco, except much more cost effective, similar to the Ubiquity wireless products that are just as good, if not better, than Cisco, and at a fraction of the cost.
I like the Cheap Hooker 4000, Tom.
Yeah?
So that's a fine
See,
product.
Now you've gone beyond 12, and you're up to like 16, 17 now, and you're going to get us in trouble with the in-laws, Tom. I'm going to tell
Tom,
you. You can hear it now,
This
can't
is
you?
inappropriate
Yep.
discussion.
I listened to your podcast
Oh, my goodness.
today, and I'm offended.
I'm offended,
Yep,
Tom.
Yep.
So go create a safe space for the in-laws, Tom. And
Go fetch me my hemorrhoid cream, Tom.
right.
Could you get me some cocoa?
So anyway,
Have any of those butterscotch discs left, Tom?
Yep. See, and you knew, didn't you, that I've got to pick up a pack of those on the way home tonight.
I knew it.
Yeah.
They're located right next to the
Make
Fornicate
sure they're
on the shelf,
Brock's.
Tom.
I don't like the I want the Brock's.
Those are good.
Yeah. I agree. This is why
How
the
about
bag.
the cinnamon discs? Do you
Tom,
guys
why
have-
is the corner of this bag ripped open? Oh, doggone it! I think there must have been a mouse on the way home.
Stupid dog.
Yep, exactly. So
Damn
that's
dog.
my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
So, well, Tom, you know what time it is?
It is time. Wait. Do I get to do it?
Please.
Mason, who do we have today? Oh, I totally changed the dynamic of this conversation. Who wrote us
Yeah.
today, Mason? Come on.
Marty from Madagascar.
Madagascar?
See, now I knew we had some listeners overseas.
Yeah.
I did not know specifically Madagascar. I always think of it wasn't a ferret, it was a
Imana fornicate. Was it a mongoose, Tom?
no, it wasn't. It was a meerkat.
Oh, a meerkat. Yes.
Yes.
So the Madagascar, a fine episode. What was his name again? Marty. I was thinking Marvin.
All
but
right. What does Marty have for us today?
Marty's concerned and he's a little confused, Tom.
Okay.
A lot like Tom Cruise in the closet.
Okay. That's awfully
But
confused.
I'll be clear. Marty
Okay.
is not writing us from the closet.
Okay. All right.
And he writes. So his cable company came and dropped off his goodies, right? So he just set up new service.
Okay.
And he had an existing router, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's not sure if this thing is running through his router or is it using the cable company's firewall. So this can be a little bit confusing, and especially when you have multiple devices with flashy lights on them, Tom. So
Yes, it can.
what do you think?
Well, here's the deal, Marty. So when you're looking at services through your internet service provider, a lot of their devices these days can have a firewall turned on. And if that firewall is turned on and yours is turned on, it can cause conflicts.
Cross fornication, Tom.
That's right. I guess.
It's a thing. Look it up.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
don't
I'll
look
take
it
your
up.
word
Never
for
mind.
it.
Don't
Take
look it
your
up.
word for it.
Don't look it up.
But no, if you want to make sure that if you're having issues with the new service, a call to your internet service provider asking if their firewall is turned on in the router might be a good thing to do.
Right.
They can easily disable that for you if you have your own firewall.
And that is a really important tip
Yep.
because that's right. So you can get a lot of redundancy here, and
Mm-hmm.
you can actually have your firewall fighting someone else's firewall, and then you've got this whole firewall fight, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's a, I hear the ring and the match and the girl with the card, and
Well, that's right.
that's right. Let's get ready to rumble.
Yep, exactly. And that's
but
what it's like.
It is. So it can be difficult because you got all these flashing damn boxes, right,
Mm-hmm.
Tom? You got the Fornicator 4000, that sucker's flashing. Maybe you got a switch where you're printing, you're printing the in-laws coupons. So it can be confusing with multiple devices. My wisdom here is, I would rather my own firewall do the firewall protecting, because I don't really trust.
I agree.
I don't really always trust the cable
Yeah.
internet provider.
Not to mention, you can't see that firewall.
That's
You
right.
just take their word
we
for
did
it.
it again.
See?
That's right.
It just works. It's
It does.
so
I like it.
universal.
It's nice.
Yeah. But no, it's that's exactly it. You want to make sure that, it has the latest functionality. And if you put that onus onto the ISP, then the odds are that they're not going to keep up on it. And you want to know how I know this, Tom?
How
Because
tell
the
us.
majority of times when an ISP comes in, if you haven't had your internet service provider out, in the last 2 or 3 years, everything's just been working at
Sure,
the house
peachy
great.
keen, Tom, just humming along.
When that technician comes out, he's going to look at your hardware and he's going to say, "Oh, wow, you still got one of those?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
They all do that,
It
Tom.
happens every time.
Yep.
They're like, "Yeah, I need to go to my truck and get you one of the new ones." And that's exactly for the reason that we were just talking about. Those old devices don't have the capabilities and the functionality of the new devices.
And listen, I want you to hear this too. Is it Martin?
Marty,
Marty, damn it. I thought I had it, Tom. I was
Just think
practicing it in my
meerkat.
head. So meerkat. All right.
Yep.
So listen, from Madagascar, here's a little bit of a pro tip advice too. So let's say 2 years down the road, you need to call your cable company and be like, "Ooh, do you guys have a more modern modem now?" Because they're not going to volunteer to come out and swap it out, Tom. They're not in the business
No.
to be kind.
that's not how they make their
No,
money.
That's right.
Yep.
So,
So
keep your eyeballs on those things.
you've definitely got to be the squeaky wheel if you want the grease.
Well said, sir.
Yeah, well, that was how my mother rolled. She was always the one that taught us that if you want that street snow plowed off that street, you've got to be the first one to call the county and get that truck
That's
out
right.
there. Yep, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Basically,
So
be a pain in the ass, Tom. Is
that's
that what I hear you
exactly
saying?
it. Yeah, and hey, if that's what it takes to get these cable companies who are making massive amounts of money off of us, and I do mean massive amounts of money. They just don't want to invest in the infrastructure. We could go on a whole nother podcast about the ways that they are taking advantage of consumers
talk
across the
about
country.
Bundles, Tom.
Yeah, see, that's just another way
Bundles
they're taking advantage
piss
of
me
people.
off.
Yep. But unless you are holding their feet to the fire, they're not going to just come out and replace your equipment.
No.
So if it's been a few years, it certainly couldn't hurt to place that call and have them come out and give you something newer and better. Might work faster for you too.
And you might want to escape from Madagascar.
Good luck on that, Marty.
Yeah, Marty.
Yep.
Hey,
So-
thanks so much for writing into the mail sack, Marty. What a great question. And I think, honestly, Tom, Craig, you nailed that response. I mean, you got to stay on top of your cable company. You got to make sure that your own firewall is up to date. What else did we cover today, Tom?
It's the whole Microsoft thing. I just feel so good knowing that it appeared
you
on
do.
your screen. That
Yeah.
Microsoft logo, that's just a beautiful thing.
Speaking of pains in the asses, Tom, did you stop by and get the in-laws that hemorrhoid cream they were looking for?
That'll have to be added to the list for this afternoon.
Preparation X, am I right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Preparation NyQuil.
Amen.
Operation NyQuil
I
is
wonder
what
how
I
those
like to
two would
refer to
taste
it as.
together.
Gosh, that's a whole thought that I've got nothing for.
It'd be like dual numbing power, right?
I've got
Think about
nothing.
it. Wow.
Yep.
We're going to change the world today, Tom.
Yeah, well, good luck to you. And if you get that patent approved, please let me know. I'd like to be the beneficiary of all the good things to come.
So, as always, we covered a lot of territory here on the T-Squared Tech Talk podcast
We did.
today. We talked about hemorrhoids. We talked about routers and firewalls, Tom, and how to keep yours safe. We talked about the Fornicator 4000. We went
Flashing,
over
by the way.
It is flashing.
Yeah, so we were talking about the flashing fornicator. We're going to get the police over here.
We ran over to Madagascar.
Yep. And best of all, we talked about Microsoft on an Apple device.
You know what, my friend? I'm going to let you have that today. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, my life is gift. Much like the mission of the T-Squared Tech Talk podcast is to enrich our audience. I think I want you to celebrate and revel in my pain, much like Microsoft does so well.
Well, if you ever have those issues again, you know how to give us a call over here at Advanced System Solutions.
How can they find you, Tom?
That's how they can find us on the web at advancedsystemsolutions.com.
And you can find me at ontargetdigitalmarketing.com. And folks, make sure that you take care of that ointment problem.
Hey, and get those dusty devices out of that closet.
Yeah, clean
Not
it.
the in-laws, the firewall.
Yeah. Let's prioritize
Yes,
here, right?
Absolutely.
So until next time, folks, it's been a blast. Thanks so much for listening to the T-Squared Tech Talk podcast. We're out. Have a great weekend.
This podcast was recorded at the On Target Podcasting Studio.